So there's a progress check on the Porsche. Loads and loads and loads of people have asked me how progress was on this, and although I've been doing it, but it just doesn't look like much. But yes, you join me at quite a key moment, because out of all the pieces, and now one of the questions is, the part of the build for this is the fact that every time I do a job, I've been doing one piece of Lego, and now it doesn't look like much. But this is the chassis of the Porsche. There's 1,500 pieces. If you haven't been following my progress, every time I take a job off of my job list, I put a piece of Lego together, and it could be a piece like that. And that's one job down. So 1,500 jobs later, and I expect to have one of those out the front.
Good afternoon, race fans, and yep, here is my next video. Now, there's loads of topics I want to cover on this. The last one you would have seen was me in isolation, having caught COVID, and I even managed to make some money there, because day one of how long was I in there for? 7 days or 8 days or something like that. Day one, my Xbox, I kind of slotted it in there, and it dumped itself. Graphics card gave up, glitched. I thought that's the only source of entertainment that I've got. So, and to be fair, I bought it for 50 quid, my Xbox One S, or whatever it was, about 18 months before, because it had a knackered HDMI port off eBay. We fixed it. I've used it ever since. So it was, it was on borrowed time, put it that way. So I definitely got my money's worth. So I went straight on Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, found somebody who was willing to deliver, somebody local, and I bought a Xbox Series S. There's so many that confuses me, and it came. Now I kind of went, right, actually it's a good price, 230 quid, and it came with an Xbox Elite controller like this, which I am not a good enough player to warrant one of these. These are like 170 quid's worth and brand new, and it came with one of those, and I couldn't believe it. The guy delivered. I managed to do the transaction through the, and I got my Xbox working again, got a new Xbox. But then I managed to, that very night, flip the Elite controller worth 160 odd quid. It was used, but it was in a mega condition, and I sold that for 80 quid, and it sold overnight, so I was really pleased. However, I couldn't ship it. So it did take me a few days to disinfect it, put it somewhere where it could calm itself COVID-wise, and then ship it off. So I shipped it off, and I was going to go into great deal about this, and I sold it for 80 quid. Off it went, and the guy literally, it landed with him the next morning, and he already said, "Oh, it's the bizarre excuses." Obviously, this is a controller based for real gamers, so I understand, and that's why I sold it. Now, to be honest, I sold it for 80 quid. And that means my Xbox Series S, which was only 3 months old, including the receipt, only cost me £150, which is darn good. So yeah, I reduced the price of a brand new Xbox, pretty much brand new Xbox, down to that. So I was quite pleased with that. The guy immediately bounced it back, saying, "Oh, it's faulty. The right bumper, 2 times in 10, you have to press it a little bit more firmly." I'm like, really? You do know this is used, and you bought it at half price? And then he came back with, "Oh, it's got stick drift," and there's a picture of this and the other. I'm like, "Just send it back, mate. Send it back." He's like, "Well, I'll take a discount if you want." I'm like, "No, because I don't quite know what you're angling for. It's either good enough for you or it's not." It's got a slightly sticky 2 in 10 like bumper. It needs a little bit of this. Just send it back. So we sent it back. To be honest, I got it in. By then I was out of isolation. I got one of the guys, and it was tiny bit sticky, literally tiny bit sticky. So I got one of the techs to strip it out, cleaned one of the pads inside, put it back together, absolutely perfect. Flipped it, listed it that day. I listed it for £95, and it sold straight away. So what did I learn from the lesson before? £80 was far too cheap because it sold straight away. So I listed it for 95, and it sold at 95. So I made the postage that I'd lost in the back one. Anyway, quite amusing. I then get this message. Unbelievable. I mean, seriously. And here was my reply. Which is absolute twaddle. And at the end of the day, it sold for 95 quid, and touch wood, it's not come back. The guy who bought it is happy. And you know what, if it wasn't for you, I think this guy really wanted brand new, just didn't want to pay brand new price. And I think I put in my reply, you want something that is absolutely perfect, and it's 160 quid. You're gonna have to pay 160 quid for it to be perfect, not 80 quid. for something that's used and expect it to be absolutely perfect. So you know what, there's a market out there for both people, and I managed to flip it and reduce the price of my brand new Xbox, new to me, by a heck of a lot. So I'm out of isolation, so that was a story in itself. So folks, here we go to the juicy bit. We are starting to sell off returns pallets by the pallet. Now, we've sold a couple of pallets off of just scrap, and I've listed them as scrap, and I've been no secret about the fact that they're scrap, and they've just gone out the door. A couple of pallets sold for about 20 quid each. One pallet sold for 50 quid. Great, no problem. Just gains us space, and it's money for nothing. So now what we're doing, the plan for this lot that I've talked about before, we bought a truckload of pallets. Now, the plan that we've been working on with G and everything is the fact that we've skimmed off the top, I don't know, 20% of items in RRP value, and everything else we have literally been scanning and putting in a pallet, getting to the point where the pallet's full, then listing that pallet 100% itemized, 100% the Excel sheet of everything that why it was returned back to Amazon, 0% actually processed by us, just put in the box. So we've not been in any of the items, nothing, and we're selling them by the pallet, again listed in the values and the items and how many items are in there. So that's great, and we've got loads of interest, and I think the first pallet we've listed is ending anytime soon, and I've got 2 more pallets that I'm putting on there, because a lot of people have asked me throughout this, do you sell by the singular pallet? Because I want to get in on it, but I don't have the space, the room, the capital to buy 12 or 24 pallets in one go. So that was always my aim, and I've just been trying to work it into my master plan on how it will work with us. So it's another step of the experiment that we're doing. And this experiment is creaming off the top value-wise. I mean, there's nothing to say that they're going to work or not going to work. There might be, there's a higher risk of them not working than probably the low-value stuff, in all essence. So it could be, it may not work. This is the whole point behind what I'm doing. It's all about learning.